Hey guys, welcome back. This video is going to be sort of a follow-up video on yesterday's live stream that I did with Mrs. Brickitect. If you missed that, this is what we built. We built Lego Ideas set 21313, or if you were in the live stream, it's set number 962. This is a set that we picked up at the King of Prussia Mall when we were doing Philly Brick Fest, and that was such a fun experience. And this is a set that I wanted so bad, and to get that during that time, I just have such great memories of it. And those memories actually continued on yesterday with the build, which I have to say, turned out amazing. This model met all of my expectations. It turned out fantastic. The build itself, we had some complications with, but in the end, it made for a really fun live stream, and it was just great building this with my wife, and now I have this, and I can display it and just think about not only Philly Brick Fest, but also think about the time we spent building this, and to have all those things recorded, I think is really cool. So you're probably wondering how exactly that ties into today's video. Well, when we bought this set, we actually got a free promo set along with it, and it was this one right here. This is the little Minifigure Factory set, or as I like to call it, the Minifinger Factory, and I'm not exactly sure how I ended up getting this set. I believe that the promo was to spend, I think it was like $75 or something like that. I only spent $70, and for some reason they gave this to me. Just out of curiosity, I looked up the promo, and it ran from April 1st to April 15th, and it was to spend $75 or more. I went on, I want to say April 20th, so I'm thinking what happened is that they just had some extras left over. The funny thing about this, and you guys know that every set has a story, and I like to share that story. This one, she told me, was the last one they had, so I was the last person to get this free promo there. So I was really happy that I checked out when I did, and again, this is a pretty cool set. You can see here from the front of it that there is this little factory here. There was one thing that I don't like about this, and it's the background. The background of this isn't brick built. I would have loved that. I think back to the VIP store polybag that they did, and I loved how that actually had a wall, and it actually had two walls to it. And this doesn't have that, and I think it's probably because it was on a $75 purchase that you got this for free. But if they could have bumped that up to like $100 or $125 to really make this an awesome set, I think that'd have been great. But again, I don't want to judge this too harshly before I actually build it. That's just something that I could observe just from looking at it. And honestly, how much can you really complain about a free set? As I open this up, this is kind of what it looks like. Got a manual it's calling out here. It shows how it kind of goes into the box, it looks like. This is cool too. We got the original police officer, which has become very infamous these days, it seems. And my favorite one out of this group, and the one that I can relate to the most, is probably right here. Even though 1989 was a little bit before I got into collecting, this reminds me of my childhood, and you know, early 90s is when I grew up with Lego, and that really means a lot to me. I was about ready to take this piece out, but it looks like it's actually glued in there. So that makes sense. This is where you're going to be building back there, apparently. Here is the bag, and might as well just dump these out and see what we have in here. Whoa. Here's a quick look at all the pieces that came out of here. There is one Minifinger in there. You can see the torso and the legs there, and there's the hairpiece. I think the main thing that people really love out of this set are all these tiny little minifigures, or minifingers as they're called on some channels here on YouTube, and we've got all these here. I'll have to flush them all out, but again, this is going to be pretty cool building this up the way it is, and I might just be able to get past this whole box thing. I think we can work this out. So on that, let's get into this build, and we're going to start with the Minifinger factory employee is wearing a yellow shirt, and that's always kind of funny when they put yellow shirts on minifingers. I'll show you what I mean here. I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like he has like a Lego tattoo on his back, considering the rest of him is all yellow. But the front of it looks a little better with the collar of the shirt, and he's got his pocket protector in there with his pen and a magnifying glass, which actually works. So he is the only Minifinger you get with this, and now I go on to build the wagon. Now that I've built this, it's not really a wagon as much as it is a cart. So the minifig would actually stand behind it here and push it along. To me, it kind of looked like a wagon initially, and I guess if you wanted to modify this with like a different handle, you probably could do that to make it into a wagon. But yeah, I like that there's no studs showing on there, and just a nice little build. Put those guys over there, and now comes the main part of the build, which is the factory. Weird thing is it shows this piece out here, but to me it really does seem like it's glued in there. So I think I'm just going to end up building it inside this, which is no problem at all. I haven't watched any videos on anyone actually build this, so I don't know if that's like that for all of them, but I'm assuming that it is. So I'll just build it right inside the box. I think this might be the first time I've ever done that. Wow, I have to say after building this set, I am pleasantly surprised. What I thought was the set's biggest weakness, which is this backdrop here, actually turned out to be its biggest strength, I think. I think this really makes a complete set, and I don't know if this is something you'd even be able to accomplish with bricks, because I'm going to show you exactly how this works. If you slide this, actually I may have to move the wagon or the cart out of the way. You see the police officer back there in that little window? As this slides, there it slides over to the next Minifinger that it's working on, and then we got the pirate, which is my favorite, and you just keep going from there. And I think that is so cool. That really adds this awesome play feature. Like, this could have just been a box, but somebody was smart enough to think, what could we do with that? And I think that made this just really neat. Speaking of really neat, let me take the factory worker out of here so you guys can see all of the Minifingers in here. I'm not sure what these are called exactly. I'm going to call them Minifingers. Let's push this guy down a little bit. But man, how cool is that? I don't really have too many of these. I think I have a couple of the astronauts from the Apollo. I want to say the New York skyline has the little tiny Statue of Liberty that's like this, but they don't really come up very often, at least in the sets that I've owned, and this is a nice addition to the collection there. Over here on this side, not really sure what this is supposed to be. When I was building it, I was thinking it sort of reminded me of like a water jug that you'd have in an office or something, but I'm sure there's something else going on there. Over on this side, there's a paintbrush. These things move down the conveyor line. You can kind of get a better look at that here. This is what that looks like, and it just moves freely. During the build, I was a little concerned about how this would stay in there because it could just pop out, but when you build the back of this is how the back looks. It kind of keeps everything in there, and then the cart can just go over there, and then you can put your employee back in here. And then with that, it just becomes this nice little self-contained unit. Again, this is only 86 pieces, but I think what they were able to do with this is fantastic. Let me move the magnifying glass so you can see the employee's face. But doesn't that look good on display? I mean, this is a set that not only has playability, I mean limited playability with just the movement back and forth. You can't do a lot with this. It is cool they added the card in, so you can take your employee, let's take the magnifying glass out of his hands and get them all set up here. Say the minifigs are done, you want to throw them into the cart here, you can put a whole bunch of them in there and he rolls away. He just comes out around here, steps on this two-dimensional pallet, goes over here, and his day is done because he's accomplished his goal, which was to build the minifigs. And I accomplished my goal, which was to build this set. And again, it's one that I would definitely recommend if you can pick it up. I have no idea what this sells for on eBay. I've never really looked it up. It was one that I wasn't overly interested in because of this backdrop thing, but after building it, I actually started to love it. Just goes to show you guys, don't judge a set before you build it because it could be really awesome. And this was a set that I was going to pass on. And if I hadn't gotten it for free and gotten the last one at the King of Prussia Lego store, I probably would have never had any interest in building this. But I'm really glad that I have it, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. We'll be back tomorrow with yet another build for you. So we'll just end this on a thanks for watching. Next video. Wait, don't click off the video yet. I want to show you this out of the book. This shows a little more detail of the progression of Minifingers as time goes by. This is really cool. There you got your Mr. Gold and my personal favorite, the little baby. All right, now the video's over.